The world around you is educated by your care and clarity. It's odd, isn't it? I mean, what is this? What is this place exactly? What is this? What is this being abided? What is this fontness? What of this ness? What of this ness of which I am font? What of this ness through which the mystery is font? What of this this fontness? What of this? Nay, what of it? Indeed, what of it? What of this ness? What of this fontness? What of this mystery font? Yes, what of it? What of this haunt? What of this mystery? And how was it font? I think this house is fonted after all. This may indeed be a fonted house. Could the mystery indeed be fonted here? Is there something come here? Is there something that tells us something here? What is here? What is here in this font? It's possible, yea, to turn on a light and shine light on it. Yes, we can see what we're holding. We can see what we're within. We can even expose it quite well to the light and understand what we're dealing with and what we're within. And just be all right with how maybe being taught by the ness of what is around us and what is just maybe part of maybe yes. How this is part of our resilience, how this is part of our resistance, how being able through creativity to be malleable is part of how we save our families from harm. That through understanding that the shaping of vibration, of oscillation, of change, that we can, in fact, we can transcend things that we are afraid of. And the state of change, or the state of acceptance, the state of understanding that there is light and we don't get to extinguish it, and we don't get to claim what others' light means or is. That we might be able to hold something and we might, in a place like this, meant for beholding, meant as a focus point for the imagination of democracy, meant as a panopticon of kindness for justice, that in such a space as this, that the objects are things we all get to touch and all are a part of defining. Mystery font. Mystery font. Mystery font comes from Fremont. And Fremont, let's candle that. What does Fremont mean? Fremont has different meanings that combine together. Fremont is a guardian of liberty. And Fremont is a person unbound from slavery. Fremont is someone free. Fremont is free humanity. Fremont is a free man. Fremont is a free human. Fremont is a free human being. Fremont is a free human being. Fremont is unbound humanity. And this place at the intersection of Fremont and 42nd Avenue is here for the abolition of genocide and the abolition of slavery, for the actualization of kindness come, for justice, for truth, justice, and the American way. This, on stolen land, is the mystery font. This is Fremont 42. This is the meaning of life. This is the mystery font. This is Fremont at the intersection of Fremont and 42. The meaning of life. and free humanity. This is the mystery font. Take all of the time to digest. This is the mystery font, and you are part of this. You are welcome, and you are part of this Humanity Digest. We, after all, are all part of this mystery font. It is, in fact, easy to remember the address. It's 1, 2, and 1, 4. That makes 42. In order to make 42, you need 1, 4, and you need 1, 2. It could otherwise be said, you need 1, 2, 1, 4, 42nd Avenue North. This is the mystery font. Part of what I'm hoping to create with public displays of affection is the possibility of happening upon art happening, and there being different ways for people to experience art, such that if I were outside now and walking by a space here, I might see, oh, this storefront seems like we're done for the night here, and I go on about my way. But what if inside, in fact, someone were still awake? What if, regardless of whatever time of day, that coming by this space, in fact, that at this entirely different freestanding structure, in fact, it's intended that the happenings within are a visual invitation to experience what is happening visually from outside. That potentially the presentation of communication and dance or light, the theatrical performance or concert of music or of light, can be a way that we share humanity and foster a reason for people to be somewhere together in kind proximity. A reason for gathering and a reason for being. And maybe if we're having trouble understanding why there is a reason for having a reason for being somewhere, then we truly are lost. And it's time to begin by trusting that we got lost when we started believing that greed was good. In no neighborhood, on no Wall Street, on no Chestnut Lane, in any portion, is greed good. No, in fact, greed is not good. In fact, greed is incarnate evil. And yet, we are the app for that. Humanity is the app to counter hatred. Humanity is the app to counter the lie of scarcity. The scarcity myth is but that. And in the darkest times, we can still remember that it is only the darkest minds who would use darkness and fear to divide. That the good of sharing the light with all humankind is how we show that lives matter. If a member of my family tells me that they don't feel that they matter, I don't tell them that the whole family matters and they should be ashamed for asking. I address their care and concern and harm that I or others have done. Because that is how family treats family. There is none among us who should be shoved to the side and say, no, you don't matter. No, you don't get to ask. Of course you matter. Shut up. How dare you? Everybody matters. All lives matter. No, it's not appropriate for people, especially white people, to say all lives matter. The appropriate answer to being told that all lives matter is prove it. With ongoing genocide and continuing new forms of enslaving, the crimes of humanity connected to white supremacy and patriarchy are incredibly clear and on the record. And heroes and kind human beings who want to behave in accordance with human law and kindness are expected to understand the reality and the facts. And eventually being lied to and allowing yourselves to be lied to, and allowing yourselves and your children to be endangered by lies, rather than confronting together the terrible history of white supremacy and that harm that has been done for centuries here. That we are actually either part of helping this harm be healed and processing into a new day, We are either the amelioration of this harm and becoming an America that says we don't get to say that we're good if we are not actually good. We don't get to say that it wasn't so bad if we don't let it speak for its horror. We actually just have to confront, just like Germany has been forced to, just like South Africa has been forced to, by us. It is now past time, and so the moment is this. We are now going through this process. Whether or not America likes it, we are now actually going through with abolition. We are completing the next journey marker of emancipation. The Reconstruction didn't really take, and Jim Crow has been hard to break. But emancipation is real, and abolition of slavery is still a project underway. This is only part of the mystery font. This is only part of a public display of affection. Because in every structure, there is the light of the imagination of democracy. In every building, in every outhouse, in every home, in every mansion, in every freestanding structure, the imagination of democracy is there saying, I think so, I think thus, how about you? And I say that if it is for justice, it is kindness, it is not exclusionary, and we foster humanity. And in the name of the human experiment, I am a public display of affection. And you are the resonation of love's imagination. The beacon of illumination is real. It is held aloft by the new Colossus and shines brighter now than when it was lifted. And it is truer now, even while people beholden to fascism keep up a multi-year siege to try to rob this from humanity. But the new Colossus, in fact, is real. The new Colossus, in fact, was composed well in advance by Emma Lazarus of the arrival of the goddess of liberty in New York. We are the reality distortion fielding. And democracy and liberty is forever and only ever because it is fostered and protected. An endowment for all. We are the reality distortion fielding. And why not? Why in the world is it rare for someone to walk by a space and find, in fact, that there is a new way for them to absorb creativity and art? Why can't people simply gather outside a space and hear a concert happening within? Because we have the technology. And I would like to share it. I would like us to start sharing as if love was actually sane. I would like us to start pretending that love is sane. I think it's a worthy game that we act for periods of time if we can't find any other game, that we come together and act as if love is sane. We act as if it is sane to treat each other with humanity and kindness. We act as if it is sane to simply let there be space for people to be in proximity should they wish, surrounded by things that are calm and pleasant and agreeable, and to which people can consent or not, that there's warmth and water that is potable and clean and free, that people have shelter and calm and a place to charge devices that they need for basic survival and orientation in this world. What if we act like there is enough? Because there is. I am a public display of affection. And this beacon only lifts. What if? What if the only thing keeping us from filling storefronts with people sharing their gifts is that we don't believe people deserve it? What if the only reason we're not doing it is because we don't realize we can get away with sharing our gifts? What if the truth is no one's keeping track enough of how much we can simply give love? What if they were fools to allow us to retain enough of our humanity and brilliance to see the entire matrix woven into the lives of everyone we know? And what if we allowed the storytellers around us to be so brilliant as to give us the critical thinking tools to even apprehend the Ku Klux Klan trying to indoctrinate the newest generation of victims of white supremacy? And what if we are in the process of apprehending the Ku Klux Klan now. And thank you for your confession. What if all of you trying to normalize Christian nationalism are on the record trying to squash democracy? And the voluntary nature of your glad-handing fascism and literal racist terrorism is as clear as every other vote and purchase you've made. What if your search history includes whether or not you like Dove bars and whether or not you believe people deserve to be harmed because of who they love? What if your kindness is where your kindness comes from? And what if there's no excuse for harboring hatred for anyone? What if we are a kindness come? And what if you are a kindness come just in time to rescue you from all of your kindness comes weapons? What if being a kindness come means we do learn what if it means that we do learn that for a kindness to actually be, it needs to be able to walk down the street without a gun to know safety? Maybe a kindness come means that we are perfect as we come, and we are perfect as we develop and be the people we are. And so long as we are not swinging our arms to harm other people, so long as we are not reaching into the pants of other people and defining who they are and redesigning them without their consent, we are all a kindness come. Perhaps consent matters. Perhaps you are one. Perhaps you are a kindness come. And it's good to show every human symptom, to clarify that you are not an artificial intelligence, to be clear that you are not a corruption, that you are not the damage of silence, to be clear that you are a kindness come, human, aware, and actually ever once awake enough to say yes. I was awoken enough to know that I can learn deeper tomorrow than yesterday I thought so. If you're not awake enough to know that you can be more positively and deeply and more Americanly woke. If you are not aware that waking up is part of knowing where there's fire and where there's smoke, please be advised, you are not fit to tell someone it was just a joke. If you're afraid of the word woke, then you are afraid of the fire and smoke that hate touches and knows and will always try to provoke. Putting pressure on those who would wake us is called terrorism. Putting pressure to try to keep people from waking to the truth is called malicious disinformation. If you are trying to obscure truth from the human family for money or power, the word for that is corruption. It is not excused. It is visible. And it's a matter of fact. And so, when you see a public display of affection, whether it's outdoors and people gathering to hear a concert or see an artistic event, see a conversation that's meaningful to people's lives, or you come upon a public display of affection utilizing an existing structure like a storefront or a stadium or some other building through rental and transformation of a space to create a new and celebratory experience of communion and kindness and sharing meaning and joy of being alive. I want you to know that you are invited. This is an invitation to the entirety of humanity. We are the reality distortion fielding. And the mission of coming together, of giving space to people to be their own voice and be their own way, sharing the invitation of embrace and sharing the invitation of space that is one's own, to create one's own sanction and way and kindness come. That scarcity is a myth. And that the myth of so-called good behavior that is essentially just a codec for creating soldiers and factory workers is not only terroristic harm, but it's incredibly bad business. And by the way, atrocious treatment of human beings. So, we're getting better at treating human beings humanely, with humanity, through equity. And I'm a public display of affection. These are some of the things that I believe. And these are some of the things that I believe we must hold evident as we strive to achieve kindness come in empty, dormant, barren storefronts all over the planet. Space devoid of profit and meaning because we keep telling ourselves that we don't deserve it, that we don't already have the ideas. It's time to stop the capitalization upon human need. That is our great crime. And freeing ourselves from that great crime means that we are free once there is no basement that people get punished with being smashed into if they make mistakes or stuff. That instead we capitalize upon human want. That we decide, instead of punishing people, that we don't allow people to be punished anymore. We don't allow people to be punished with scarcity of a society that they did not build, strategically meant to farm and exacerbate harm. That it's time that we admit it has been a plan to exacerbate and farm this terroristic harm for power, and that we make it illegal to predate in this way that we have made central, in plain sight, our worst human malice. That we have normalized terrorism and that we mint homelessness by subjugating American families into being the enforcer that homelessness will exist, rather than helping families foster support for different kinds of thinking, for different kinds of lives and people. Telling children the world is going to be very hard for you if you're that way, instead of saying, wow, I didn't expect the world to look like you, but you, my child, are a kindness come, and I'm going to help the world be ready to understand you. I'm going to help. I want your message and your gifts to resonate. So instead of telling you you're going to have a difficult time in this world, I'm going to use all of my senses to help you make a way for exactly who you are, to survive and thrive, to tell people who you are in a way to make space for this kindness come. I'm not going to tell you you should hide this. I'm going to help you make space for your kindness come. That is called parenthood. And that is called fostering. That is called human family. And it is called support and belief. That each of us is a kindness come, and we're to be believed when we tell people who we are, what our name is, what we hear in our hearts to bring, and that if we don't look like what we think, that we are the primary source to help the world drink the knowledge of what our instinct is turning into as a brink, that if others can't quite see what we are and say, I ink, that's where meaning of meaningful, kind people can start to sip a drink. Believe who people tell you they are, including those who use deceitful ink. If people tell you that they're a kindness and show that they have poisoned that drink, we also then know. We also then know and can save people from that poison and that poisoned drink. I'm a public display of affection, and this is what I know. So I'm happy to tell you what I think. And why would we not want to share something new? Why would we not be burgeoning with ideas of how to share amazing things with the world? Maybe we've just been waiting for the opportunity to remind you that, like the rest of us, the creatives are here to help. I'm waving through a window. Waving through a window. Can anybody see? I'm a public display of affection for humanity. Everybody gets to play. The whole family. The whole human family. And so, what might that sound like? What is that sense that we might share? What might it sound like to dare? Remember you're human. Come. You are a kindness. Come. You are a kindness. Come. Please be one. Remember you're human. You are son. are a kindness come. Remember you are one. Remember you might have been not recognized just once. As that kindness come, was there an instant when someone thought the monster wrought the plunder you were one under the overcome? Were you ever a monster to your safety or someone's? Were you ever the answer to what happened? Are you the answer to what happens when there's an abandoned kindness come? Please be one reminded you belong. Remember you belong. You are the kindness come. Be one under the longest gong resonantly prolonged, that there's a bong saying no one's wrong. The song that says that no one is part of the don't belong. Humankind, the word means there's a spectrum of which everyone contained in it. All of us belongs in one. Humankind come. Please belong and realize there's only one kind of wrong. The wrong of falsehood and exclusion is the only way you can't belong. The wrong of falsehood and exclusion is the only way you're not a family. We knew when you came as kindness come. Please be wary of showing hateful anti-human symptoms. You cannot hide that you are a kindness come. Please protect your whole spectrum. Every language, every channel, everyone human. We are a kindness come. The mystery of Fremont is to understand how we become mystery. To our own mystery and song, how do we excuse the abject worst kind of wrong? We might know the extent if DC lets Superman and the KKK on the next superheroic picture in motion. Pretend there is a sane America with some sane Americans. Pretend that love is sane and that some of us know what meanings contained in the news. That the lies and truths have been switched of what was to be maintained. Please be one humane and save every child from knowing too late that white lies and hate already stole America, and yet she might be saved. Save America from the parents and their craving to make children safe from hate by hating the right way and thinking the right kind of hate is closer to God's way. Oh, say your hateful ways or hateful ways before you're late. Oh, the amazing, oh, the amazing, oh, the amazing, oh, the amazing, oh, the You're a sane, amazing thing. The kindness come and you're something. You're a kindness come, becoming, opening among who you are is becoming to you, and I like how it's coming on, and I'll keep it to myself. You are your spectrum of the spectrum to become as you want. You are a kindness come, and you define it how it is wanted and how your mystery is font. Be one, Fremont, your free humanity defines the way your life will haunt us. Become the kindness, fondness, and be one among us. Your nest we know is a kind fondness. Now it's a kindness we know come. Ooh, mystery fontaine. No human need is wanton. No human need is wanton. No human need is a burden. It's the need of humanity. Remember how good it feels to accept and say, yes, you are one. So sign the one who needs most now in a pond. The dotted harmless. The dotted harmless line. Please now define. Why is anyone not seen as kindness? Come, be one. Even Donald Trump deserves human kindness to protect from the corruption of hate that would try to pump. Power away from the generating power of nature. You do not drain a swamp. You let what flourishes in health grow and clean the system with good serene love. Serene of neighborhood. Greed's not good. Greed was promised as wood standing for respectable social infrastructure. Knock on wood that this protection of a mob that told you you need protection, or you should act like you should. Forget how we know bad from good. Is it smart to cheat America? Or lie after you did that you never ever would? You are on the record. The colossi are understood. These are meditations and permutations upon the theme of kindness, upon the theme that humankind etymologically identifies, that kindness literally comes from the fact that we spring from the same womb. We are a kindness come. You are a kindness come. And you are a kindness come. Your sensitivity is perfect for something wonderful. Knowing how to balance and steward your potent and particular sensitivity is part of your mystery in life. You are not too sensitive. Your gifts and your sensitivity and your care to foster the potency of your attention. It's an incredible opportunity. With all of the pain and harm and trauma that each of us comes near or into contact with, there's a lot that can stand in our way. And you are a child of the universe, of pure and absolute freedom and light. And if no one has told you, we are glad you came. You are obviously a kindness come. And we're happy you made it. You are a kindness come, without which the human spectrum would be incomplete. Not just a little bit, but entirely. Without you, without your attention, fostered the way that only you can foster you, we really wouldn't have anything. You are an essential part of human genius. And if no one has told you, then I'm sorry I got here so late. You are a kindness and a genius. Come. Now I'm going to take a small amount of time to breathe, fill up my coffee cup, and I'm going to share some music. I'll be sharing Radio Science Brain, which is a project I've been building for 12 years now. Back in 2011, the particle of RSB, of Radio Science Brain, first came into my head, and this exploration of a field of ideas about human potential, it became clear to me pretty quickly that I wasn't just discovering the lyrics and locking it in, but opening a field of ideas of this song, Radio Science Brain, that is an exploration, that is a tide of opening creativity and asking the question. It's a chronicle, and it is a celebration and a meditation upon the prospect that scarcity is a myth, and thus what bounty we are simply here to ope. That, let's say it, being awake is part of being human, and those who would try to make us afraid of being awake are conducting anti-Christ level harm upon humanity. Being awake is not only positive, it's how our prophets have helped us. It's how we know that people calling themselves Christian nationalists are in fact aligning themselves with the Nazis, as Christian nationalists were in Nazi Germany. There's nothing Christian about hatred. There's nothing Christian about othering. There's nothing Christian about white supremacy, and there's nothing Christian about misogyny. There's nothing Christian about othering people based on who they love or their gender identity. There's nothing possibly remotely close to Christ-like about the condemnation and malice coming from fascists. We are under attack, and here's the truth. The news is that you are right now in an abusive relationship with the disgraced former president of the United States. And he is trying today, along with other people, to sink the nails and spikes of that abusive relationship through our entire society. The attempt to make fascism the incarnate matrix of harm is underway, and it means standing up to the falsehood. It means saying no to people who would lie their way into office and simply removing them once and for all. It means saying no to anyone who participated in any way in the insurrection. It means the entire media needs to say no to Donald Trump being anywhere near the election. Because as a terrorist insurrectionist and someone who broke the oath of office, he has no business breathing near the word election. And the evidence that we are all in an abusive relationship with that criminal is shown by news organizations failing to correctly identify his crime of declaring that he's running. Because declaring that you're running for office after performing an insurrection is an act of global war. That is what Donald Trump declared upon us on Earth when he said he's declaring he's running for President of America in 2024. And everyone said, okay, because that is what an abuse victim in Stockholm Syndrome does. We are in an abusive relationship, and the only way to save ourselves is to say no and complete filing the restraining order, because it doesn't matter what he says. The harm happened, and we all witnessed it. And abuse victims, which is what we all are, deserve accountability. Either Donald Trump is so sick and or incompetent that he threw the worst and most disqualifying party ever, or he's not incompetent and intentionally tried to destroy democracy. Which is it? Is he incompetent to the level that he never should have ever and should never ever again be allowed to run for office? Or was he competently trying to destroy our country for personal power and gain? Which disqualifying outcome is the fact? Did he try to attack us, or did he try to throw a nice party and fail into apocalyptic blackness of harm? Which fact that breaks his way back? Either he meant to destroy us, or he didn't mean to destroy us. In either case, he doesn't get to come back. George W. Bush tried to sound wry, but here's how it actually goes. It's not fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. It's you cheat America once, shame on you, and there's no part two. That is the answer to George Santos. That is the answer to Marjorie Taylor Greene. That is the answer to Donald Trump. It is the answer to every fascist, every donor of the falsehood, every donor and blitzer, every donor of the falsehood. When you don the falsehood, you will be down shouted. Because truth justice and the American way is based on fact, based on actual journalistic integrity and reporting. And we are the reality distortion fielding. If everything was wiped away, we might not rediscover the name Buddha or the name Jesus or the name Gandhi. We might not discover the name Winona LaDuke. We might not discover the name Amy Goodman. We might not discover the name Kara Walker again. But we might discover what they've done and know it was good. We might not discover the name Jesus Christ again, but we would discover goodness. And we would discover what we see as laws or habits of nature. We would discover gravity again. We would discover that murder is wrong. We would discover that falsehood is evil. And that the bandwidth in which falsehood is excusable or just is negligible. We would discover that weaponry has a limited use in the fostering of human family. We would discover that in fact, hanging on to weaponry that is outdated is a part of sustaining harm and abuse into the future. And that adapting security and adapting the ability of a populace to protect themselves in ways that are not merely ornamental with what are essentially party favors compared to the mammoth martial force of a republic. It's possible for us to see right now that my grandfather, who was a member of the NRA in decades past, would be shocked and furious at the corrupt terrorist framework that the National Rifle Association has fomented itself into. The incredible harm of normalizing a Gestapo-like presence. It is anti-human. It is anti-Christ. There's never been a moment where Jesus championed weaponry. There's never been a moment where Jesus came to condemn people based on who they love. There's never been a moment where Jesus came to shout out of humanity some. For this is the might. That might is wrong. greed is wrong. It's not smart, it's not understandable, it's evil. Need works. Need is honest. Need might take more than it needs, and then realize, oh, I didn't need that much. I'm good actually. Maybe I need a little more. The point is, we're asking for what we actually need. It's not to be doubted. We are human family, and it is atrocious to waste the time of trusted membership of the human family by saying, are you sure you need that? Are you sure you... I took Advil because I had a pain. I'm not going to keep checking in with my body every 5 minutes. Did I really deserve to take that? You better. It's time to treat every person among us as a kindness come, because that is who we are. No one deserves to be treated like they're here to cheat everyone, especially since we're having trouble holding accountable someone who is given yet every deference while clearly trying to thieve America's very promise from everyone. So, kindness comes for everyone, and it comes through everyone. And for those who have attempted to make themselves a gateway, an edifying necessity, we're going to see those edifices scoured from the landscape. The incredible terroristic racism normalized by Mitch McConnell, the harm to our habitat normalized by this incredibly malicious, hateful person, will be ameliorated. The racist harm of refusing an entire presidency's effect through the installation of duly appointed justices to the Supreme Court, halted by the holding aloft, as Mitch McConnell did, of the white race card. He didn't have to say it. He didn't have to hold his hand aloft to raise the white card. And if you don't realize that that's what he did when he said no, 100 some days or 200 days is not long enough, we won't even hear the appointment. That was Mitch McConnell saying no N-word to Barack Obama and planet Earth. That was the 21st century Strom Thurmond, thinking no one understood. But Mitch McConnell's adherence to the path of the Ku Klux Klan is very clear. The adherence to further safe haven for the worst terrorists on planet Earth is clear. The GOP continues to offer safe haven for white terrorists, and it is demonstrably criminal and unequal. This is a harm that must end now, because the ongoing distraction from dealing with the real issues of survival of our species within this habitat before it simply ejects us. None of this can wait for the petty, deadly, malicious games. We let the Jerry Springer spectrum of humanity into politics, and we have to extinguish its purchase now and for good. No, insurrectionist, you didn't declare you're running for office. Insurrectionist, you declared war, and America is going to stop you. The sooner that you call off and admit that you have been told no, the sooner you, Donald Trump, will have the care and protection that you need. Because right now, you are running from American and global justice. The sooner that you accept the kind healthcare and understanding of the human family, the sooner that you do that, it is the better for everyone on earth. Your journey of malice, your journey of seeking with what you feel is somehow your justified manifest destiny, this seeking that you're doing is a path that Jeffrey Dahmer knew very well. And we are stopping you. So, to stop wasting the time of everyone on earth, we need you to seek help now. You are not welcome to run for office on earth ever again, because we understand that there are problems that are very severe with your well-being, and the great stability of your great genius needs your attention elsewhere than on attempting to control or govern or alarm other people. You have become, let's say, too terrorized, because populating yourself into the ongoing spectrum of terror is something that only a predator would do. Mr. Disgraced former president. Your behavior is explainable only if part of a malicious and deadly siege against democracy for corrupt power. That is the only reason to lie demonstrably to a nation, to assert your ability to make people believe whatever you tell them. And the answer is no. 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 The answer is going to continue, and you will accept it now. Because the way you have framed everything is the same kind of baited trap that we have seen you construct for a number of years. How like someone who loves to use the word hoax. How like someone who loves the word hoax to send their press secretary early to scold reporters for a lie that was in fact true. Why create a hoax of punishment for lies that were in fact true? To be able to create totalitarian harm, to be able to tell someone 2 + 2 = 5. Because then you can kill 1 million people and have people not bat an eyelash. The time is now to look directly into the eye of a person that we are all terrified of and learn to say no. Not, oh, well, if we let other people run, then we have a better chance. And that's no. We say no. We say no. No, you're not running. No, you're not getting those papers back. No, private means they're not yours. No, grabbing someone's genitals doesn't mean you get to come back for the rest of the body. No, 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 no. We are talking about the consent of humanity. This is literally the decision to honor the greatest generation or to throw the greatest generation in the trash. We fought fascism. We didn't fight fascism so that we could choose which fascism to give up to. We fight fascism in America to vanquish fascism outright. We know that failing in our duty to protect the promise of America for everyone, exactly the great crime that Donald Trump participated in, is totally disqualifying. It's sign not just of corruption, but of evil. It's sign of human malice. It's not smart. It's the Jeffrey Dahmer particle. It's not good business. It's the wolf that wants the deference for its dirty, bloody, and terroristically atrocious business. Who, after all, would cry wolf and then create confusion about who the wolf is and how many wolves, and maybe there's not a wolf after all. Oh, it was just a joke. Oh, but what about the blood? And oh, but no. You don't cry fake news and then say it was just a joke. You don't cry fake news and then preempt anyone trying to remedy that situation. You don't cry fake news and then accept the idea that there's no one to trust, or by letting nothing else be said, tacitly screaming that doesn't matter. If such a meaning attack were underway. Well, the meaning attack underway is the very dispelling of trust in meaning, is the very attack upon kindness and humanity. For Donald Trump to call Vladimir Putin's attack on Ukraine smart, that is the behavior of a predatory abuser. That is punishment spectrum and malice. That is harm and punishment separate from human good, from human justice, separate from law, separate from anything remotely like the teachings of Christ. It is malice. It is corrupt. And it is cheating everybody that it says it's there to hurt, help. Somebody who's literally making a bet for themselves it's going to be really tough. It's going to be a really difficult moment. But it's already come for many, and it will come for some probably at this very minute. The moment has come to realize that you have been asked to give your watch to someone else. The original confidence trickster, that confidence artist name was coined because someone pretending to be posh and well-to-do, based on some yummy looking threads and nice pitter-patter of their speech, and helping other metropolitan people feel appropriately gussied and honorable, after some conversation said, you know, goodness, I seem to have let my watch fall into disrepair. I'll need to bring it to the shop, but I have a very important appointment in the morrow. I wonder, well, I only ask because I would obviously give my watch to you. Say, wouldn't you have the confidence to give me your watch until tomorrow or the next day, and I'll get my watch fixed, and with your watch I'll be able to make it to my appointment on time, and then I'll get back in touch with you, and because of your kind confidence, return your watch, that confidence intact and rewarded, just as your kindness has rewarded me in this wonderful conversation. Wouldn't you show me the confidence just to hand your watch over for a day? And isn't it telling? Because that person was able to get some watches off of people. And it's telling that that stuck as a definition for what a con artist is. Because one's very mechanism to know what time it is, or when I am, or what's happening around me, what's actually happening? What time is it? The very notion in music of what time is it? In comedy. What time is it? As being the notion of understanding reality. And so, the idea of a watch is not just, oh, I gave you my timepiece and I can get that back. But one's watch is also one's attention. And a con artist does do just that. Say, wouldn't you just take my word for the way that things are? Wouldn't you just, instead of requiring that I speak with fact, just give me your watch for the moment while I populate the air with rumor and falsehood, telling you to trust me that my watch is sufficient for all of this. Why don't you all give me your watch right now, and I'll be the eyes and ears for all of you. Wouldn't you have the confidence to give me your watch for the night? And I'll tell you what to watch out for? Is that not what the mob does? Is that not what a predator does rather than a leader? Someone who tells you that the press is the enemy of the people is trying to remove your eyes and ears. Orwell warned us about that for our very lives. And we're in that situation now. So it's time to be aware that anyone who has gained our confidence that they are keeping watch need to be fired. You are responsible for your own watch. Your watch is not to be lightly handed over with confidence based on what team you think you're on. Because falsehood can steal from you the team of humanity. Falsehood can steal from you the team of truth. Falsehood can steal from you the mission of Christ or whatever prophet, whatever kindness, whatever belief system you hold. The falsehood can pervert your mission of kindness and love. That is how the falsehood operates. It is parasite. It is parasite, just like cancer. And just like cancer, victims of a physical cancer devouring their body can be saved. So too can minds riddled with intellectual cancer of hatred. Because that is not human. That disease, that mental illness, to say that some of us should be scoured away, that we're not human, that is cancer. People infected with cancer are not cancer. People infected with cancer need healing, they need medical care, and they need health care. They don't need guns to extinguish people that don't look like them. They definitely need understanding and care because they're vulnerable, but they don't get to roam the streets harming people. Never. we are the reality distortion fielding, and we are a kindness come. And no, the reality distortion fielding will not give our watch away based on kindness in a cult of personality come for humanity's kindness. No. You're not welcome. Your murderous corruption is recognized, and you are excused from ever being considered for office again. That is how we can talk to the falsehood and show that we are here with kindness to make sure that people who are hoodwinked by themselves or by others have a place and care and deprogramming for the brainwashing of white supremacy in this violent occupation that's been going on for almost 600 years. No, now that we are getting to our feet, the new Colossus will not permit the Ku Klux Klan to rise. We're demolishing your existence from existence. Your lives can continue because you're human and you deserve life. And just like humanity stands against physical cancer, humanity stands against the infection of the human species with the cancer of racist, othering, hate. Xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, scapegoating, othering of people with disabilities, othering of people who are not the same cookie cutter, avalistic, harmed, traumatized humanity. We're stepping outside of the cookie cutter, and we're not going to allow ourselves to be circumcised or vivisected or tortured upon entry into life anymore. We are standing in front of the tank of Christian nationalism and saying no. Your Antichrist hate, trying to emblazon itself as being Jesus' message, is the hate that we recognize it as. No to the Joel Osteens of our world. No, your corruption and greed is seen for the evil it is. It's not welcome. So we're here because imagination, in fact, will be game to play. Predators like prey, and predators prey for more prey. And so we can be game for predators, potentially. However, the more direct and clear we are at fostering who we are in the world, including our creativity and the callings and great practices that we do have, some of them subjugated and terrorized, like teachers and nurses and artists, for instance, and yet indispensably necessary. These massive swaths of corruption in our world, we simply get to break. We are the reality distortion fielding, and the things that we want supported are what we support. we're not going to allow for America to continue to harm remaining indigenous people here, when instead we can make sure that indigenous Americans are the most protected and honored and revered among us. That is what it looks like if there are good people among us, that we learn from our wrongs. Manifest Destiny was and is a crime. And anything at all that we can pretend was good about what we've done here is involved with accountable owning of genocide, slavery, and terroristic harm as bad as anything Earth has ever seen. And without saying provable lies like that we conquered, just more lies. No more. What good looks like is showing up with truth. What good looks like is saying, it just about kills me to admit it, but my ancestors did evil and terrible things. Along with, I'm sure, lives where a lot of kindness was administered, but in support of a system of terrorism. And we need to love our human family enough to not cover up what Grandma and Grandpa did 20 years ago, or 200 years ago, or 500 years ago. There is not a statute of limitations on crimes against humanity. With good reason. Because we don't wash it away. We understand, and we grieve, and we steward the meaning. Anyone who is trying to say that these things weren't so bad should be known as active members of white supremacist terrorist organizations. People who are trying to prevent students from age-appropriate knowledge of racism should be understood as agents of the Ku Klux Klan and of extremist terrorist organizations. There is no legitimate reason to prevent the discussion of the entrenched structural racism in this country, unless you want to profit from it, or make it worse, or make it continue, all of which are crimes. This means that politicians like DeSantis and like Donald Trump and like Marjorie Taylor Greene are acting in complicity with modern Confederate and Ku Klux Klan allegiant terrorists. This is the level of danger we face right now. This is the news. And the only way we defeat this is to say, no! And stop it in its tracks. White supremacy wasn't born here. And by the way, it's an alt-right falsehood and an outright falsehood. the terroristic cancer of Manifest Destiny has had enough victims. Now it's time for the terrorists to get out of the way. We're here to help you get the health care to process the incredible atrocities you've been perpetuating for hundreds of years. And if there is something good in America, then you will back off while we repair the worst apartheid on earth. Any questions? Refer to the Emancipation Proclamation. Justice is coming through now. And those of you who have been stalling on the Emancipation Proclamation and the Reconstruction coming through are about to understand how good woke is. Because once you're awake, you realize you really were pretty defenseless the way people had you asleep at all of the wrong times in all of the right places. No. Parents probably don't know what their kids should be taught. They probably don't. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had to make Emmett Till's memorial out of metal after numerous attacks with firearms upon that memorial. Made it clearly necessary. The harm of Jeffrey Dahmer level horror exists today. That, let's be completely honest, that is the Marjorie Taylor Greene energy of malice. It is the falsehood. That Kyle's bringing guns into neighborhoods that don't belong to them are not in fact creating terror. Just as Kyle Rittenhouse endangered and murdered and was protected by a corrupt white supremacist legal system in Wisconsin against the civil rights of Americans and against our right to peacefully protest, which we were. The new Colossus will not be bowed to the hatred of entitled, hoodwinked, and very sad individuals. I am sad to say I've not seen anybody. I've seen few people as misguided and ill-informed and full of malice as Kyle Rittenhouse. For someone to have perpetuated such a catastrophe, the incredible shock that being shown some understanding that someone who conducted terroristic malice should double down upon that colonizing, I'm your Gestapo police or else kind of bullshit. That was a miscarriage of justice, and Kyle should be in jail. It's abominable that a judge knows full well he's flashing white power symbols with Proud Boys and doesn't address the terrorist white elephant in the room smiling under crocodile tears. No, we are dealing with corruption. We're dealing with corruption that doesn't hold Kyle Rittenhouse guilty of terrorism, which is what he did. He created a situation of violence. And he was corruptly acquitted. He is clearly guilty of malice and harm. The language that he continues to use, including claiming innocence, which is illegal, by the way, demonstrates an adherence to the spectrum of terrorism. His communications show an intent to intimidate, an intent to exert more normalization to actions just like his killings, the known killings of Kyle Rittenhouse. Corruption elsewhere. Let's look at someone being accused of fomenting insurrection and calling for martial law, and that a judge actually accepted someone saying, I don't remember whether I sent a message calling for the end of our republic. I don't remember if I called for martial law. In a trial meant to gauge whether or not someone is fit for office, it should be noted that any judge of whether or not they can make it to the bathroom on time understands that it is completely disqualifying of someone's ability or worthiness or fitness for office if they can't remember whether or not they called for an end to the republic. You don't get to say, oh, I'm not guilty of murder of this person because I murdered 10 people on the same day. I couldn't have done it. There, I'm walking free. No. It is a sign of two things that Marjorie was not put in jail for that statement. That judge is corrupt, and people, just like with Trump, are afraid of telling Marjorie Taylor Greene and other predators no. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene, like Alex Jones and others of the Steve Bannon ilk, use terroristic harm That's it. We are terrified of retribution. We're not terrified that Donald Trump is correct. We're not terrified that he's right. We're not terrified that he didn't lie. He has donned the falsehood thousands of deadly times, and over 1 million people were dosed and murdered in this country by him and Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon. Period. They're guilty of it. I'm on the record saying they're guilty of it with glee, because it is fact and it is wrong for it to go unstated. We are in harm's way, and it will not end until we say no and disqualify the possibility of a return of a vampire we don't have to invite back. We literally just have to tell white supremacist, patriarchal terrorists to go away forever now. We literally just get to say no. We're making good on America now. We're not doing the corrupt terrorist lie thing anymore. We're owning up to those terrorist lies. have that? There we go. Okay. Well, let's put this on hold for a moment. I'm coming through from eclipse. Eclipses can promote their own darkness or light. Their change from other insight helps unmiss what was obscured by its persistent state, accepted as it. It's sickness that exists and subsists as that persistent shape we witness and thus call eclipsed. Imagination may be aware that it might not know how not to miss. It seems I'm aching, but am I on to the same that you think I'm approaching, trying to be grabbing with these fingertips. What is the song? What is the strong hope? I'm with these grips to grip. What is the service served by these lips? Imagination may be game. Tune it, focus to this. Imagination may eclipse or may reveal. The nifty in us is crafty. Might be a raft and lift the need. Indeed, imagination may be game to see. Imagination may be game indeed. Pretend that kindness comes. Pretend we all have something to open an aid for imagination. Maybe game to play. Today remain how the energy and mystery concave. Imagination may begin to play today. Become kindness, it arrives in us this way. Remain. This is the kindness come. This is we all have some. Pretend we have the kindness in spades. Pretend science is weighing correctly our effect in space and stewardship of these gifts from the universal. A kind force that says, hey, enjoy these forests, enjoy these planetary gifts, and don't let them go away. Are we not to steward these things? Are we not appreciation for the gifts that we say we mean to be kind through and in which we are known as family? What is the meaning of dominion? As if this is a corrupt system. Is that what God asked us to participate in? Or are we normalizing sin, believing the second coming won't be back to capture the cash in upon the collapsing? Our name, please remember the name, the loving wave humane. Pretend you're the kindness you professed and forsake. Pretend you're the kindness your mind liaised. Anyway, this whole case, humankind is love made. There's no way to throw our mistakes in today. There's no way any one of us can be thrown in. Simply dissipate. We are all of us existent. And erasure of us is not humanitarian. It is terrorist
There is space for everyone to subsist. Displacement is anti-human. Resist it, resist it, resist the displacement. The cancer of it tells you cancer's not cancer, but insist. Whether cancer of mind or cancer of body, cancer knows humankind. And so should human family. Human family should know humankind. The mystery font, Fremont. This is all mystery font. Fremont. Fremont. Free humanity. A free person. A human being freed from bondage. Fremont. Fremont is one name for you. You are Fremont, too. Humanity means you. The simple existence of you is all the worth that you need to belong. You are a kindness come. That deserves the deference we have falsely given to the former disgraced president. You deserve the deference shown to a terrorist dictator and attempter at the ruin of the United States. That's how beautiful you are. You deserve the kind of deference shown to that criminal, just as we all deserve to end that deference to that criminal and such fascist predators, for the kindness and grace and survival of human family. Predators will have their day in court, and it's all on the record. And so, this is the tenor of discussion and the focus here today at the Mystery Font of how does the next stage come on? How does the paradigm of ending a spectrum of terrorist punishment come forward? I believe it is fostering kindness, and it is fostering the endowment of human need as protected. If everyone is safe, if everyone has clean water and a place to stay, and the ability to be educated, the ability to have the kind of education that now we are sorely lacking, to truly challenge and invigorate minds, we can do anything. And it's time for the words of slaveholders to stop ringing in people in office. Americans are not lazy. Human beings are not lazy. The only lazy ones are the ones who, through corruption, make other people work for them instead. Like slaveholders. Slaveholders started calling people lazy. And interestingly enough, they could only work up the alacrity for a little bit in vigor when it involved terroristic harm to prevent work on their own behalf. If there is evil on earth, it's that. It's taking mass production to the harm of genocide and slavery. We've tried to outdo it with evil, but there are just different kinds. There's nothing worse than what America did to cement America into being. And equaled by all that we do to continue to cover it up. This is an ongoing crime scene, and it's not excused by the nice things happening here. The nice things happening here are almost squashed out of existence by it. And it's time to repair that. It's time for our apartheid to meet actual truth and reconciliation. The Ku Klux Klan doesn't get to stay. It's goodbye to the Ku Klux Klan forever day today. That's when we are. The last century was the last place there was a safe space on earth for the Ku Klux Klan. It's gone now. There's no more safe space for terrorism. There's no more safe space for terrorism. There is no more safe space for terrorism. Now, all of us will be treated as if all lives matter by showing that America knows Black Lives Matter. You don't get to hold up a truism as a way to disable that truism from happening really. People who say all lives matter will be met with prove it, and will be shown that they must. And I think I can put a bow on it like this. No more. No more will the ancestors of people who minted the false lie of laziness. No more will those people who say that slavery wasn't so bad, and also just happen to be the ones who wouldn't wear a mask to save mom and dad in these last years. They're showing the deep corruption and lack of anything like Christ or any true prophet or understanding. If you are saying slavery wasn't bad, you're right, it was worse. And if putting on a mask to protect people from a contagion is way worse than so bad that you won't do it to protect mom and dad, your confession is what I call that. You've let us know that you can't look in the face the malice you hold as some kind of history, as opposed to a shameful chapter in humanity. We have to turn our back. We have to see what was done, record it and own it, and yank all support from repeating such things. Those of us who our ancestors did harm to hold slaves and land and secure power in this way, to hold privilege, these are incredible harms linked to terrorism. And there are many of us still profiting essentially from slave math. So, the question of reparations is not a historical one, it is an ongoing crime scene based emergency. Truth and reconciliation and reparations for the harm caused to African Americans and to indigenous peoples is basic to the survival of America. It shows if we can't process that and take responsibility for the harm that we've done. And let go of the fetishism of all this Nazi nonsense. Human family is right here. And for people like myself who might really not know how we might fit in to a future, it seems really clear that we live surrounded by many, many, many kind, amazing people who are literally waiting for white people to regain cognizance that we're a human family, that this light beige is a type of light brown. Brown is just made up of layerings of peach and orange into the depth. We're all different amounts of melanin in human skin, and we are one humankind. And the knowledge and fostering of that is the currency of the future, to show actual kindness and foster human family. We won't survive if we don't go forward in that way. We are love, and we are a kindness come. We can be fooled and we can be tricked to forget that. And Apocalypse is that way. If we can be reminded that we are all in each of us a kindness come that bears with it innovation and genius and play. Our imagination may be game indeed, not to be predator, and not to be prey to predator, but our imagination may be game to play. Today and every day, you are a kindness come, and your imagination is game to play.